Hey, what's up, guys? This is Emphasis from Ravens Over Everything, and I am back with another, update on like the Ravens. It's not it's not really a happy one because this is just like a reaction to the loss that we took last night against the Las Vegas Chargers. I mean, not Chargers. I mean the Las Vegas Raiders. That was a really tough game to watch. It started off great. It really looked like we was about to blow them out. And I even said in a previous video, I predicted that we was gonna beat them 37-20, but it obviously did not work out that way. It's definitely an entertaining game either way, but there was just so many red flags, man. Like, there's legit just so many red flags. Like, our offensive line looked pathetic out there. Like, I don't. It's almost kind of funny because Villanueva, a lot of Steelers fans kept saying like Villanueva is really bad and it wasn't gonna be a good pick, and all of them have been vindicated at this point. One game into the season, they have all been vindicated already. So it was just really hard to watch. Like Lamar was just under a lot of pressure from the Raiders defensive line. Then there was some key drops. I think the most important drop that happened was Mark Andrews' drop. Like, that drop, I believe it was in overtime, the drop right before Lamar had fumbled. And again, Lamar didn't look. I mean, Lamar had a solid game, but again, his two biggest mistakes was those two fumbles. But outside of that, he had a pretty solid game. I believe he was I think he was either 17 for 26 or 19 for 30. So it's a decent game. Then he had 222 passing yards, 86 rushing yards, and a touchdown. I don't think he played. Like, the thing that's so crazy is, even though now he's gonna get such a big blame from from everybody really, because he's the quarterback. If you were really watching that game, like, Lamar was playing better than Derek Carr, really, even though the stats are now not going to show it. Because when you look, there was, like, Derek Carr should have had 3 interceptions last night. He got really lucky that Marlon Humphreys did not recognize that he was holding a interception and he dropped the ball. And then he got really lucky that the other player, I forgot his name, but he got really lucky that guy also dropped the pick, because he should have had 3 picks instead of 1. It's funny, I was watching Lunch Break Hot Take last night, and they was actually bringing up they was actually making a point that like Wink Martindale might be overrated, really. And I think games like last night really showcase it, because it's like many of us said, like, you're not in that desperate of a need for edge rush on this type of team, because no matter what, Wink Martindale's just gonna just blitz over and over and over again. Live and die by it. And it just came back and bit us in the butt, man. Like, that's really all it boils down to. Like, Darren Waller got targeted 20 times last night. Like, that should be beyond embarrassing. He got targeted 20 times yesterday. It was just hard to watch. We got it to such a strong start, but then the defense just got gassed. And then the sad thing is I can't even really put it all on the defense, because at the end of the day, the defense held them off for a decent amount of time. But then offensively, like, we started to stall out. We started to we just started to just like hit, I don't want to say hit a plateau, but we just started to just, again, like I said, just stall out. We weren't able to convert into the opportunities into any more points. Like, we should have been up, like, we should have had 30 by half. Like, by the first half, we should have had 30. That's the way everything started out. And that's the way everything started out. And that's the way that the defense was giving us the opportunity in the beginning, at least, was putting us in a space where we could have had 30 at halftime. I still, for the life of me, don't understand why Tyson Williams was taken out. Like, he got off to a hot start. He ran for a 34-yard touchdown. He clearly was outperforming. He clearly was getting into a groove. Why would you take him out for essentially the rest of the game and put in Latavius Murray? Like, why? Because he fumbled one time? You got rid of the guy who was actually hot, the guy who was actually here with some momentum, who was actually getting first downs. You got rid of him to bring in Latavius Murray. Outside of that one touchdown run that Latavius had, he had a bad game, bro. Like, he was only rushing for like 2 yards a carry. Like, why did you put him in for the rest of the game? Like, at the pace that Tyson Williams was going, you absolutely, even if it was one fumble, you absolutely should have had him in for the rest of the game. He probably would have had like 140 yards by the end of the game at the pace he was going at. And you're not gonna give him a fair shot because he fumbled? You know, like, I don't know what John Harbaugh be thinking sometimes. Like, it's just so dumb. And I don't know why Greg Roman still has a job, man. I've done multiple videos about this already. Like, Greg Roman needs to be out of Baltimore, man. And you have a lot of Greg Roman apologists who are gonna try their best to make excuses for how he's a good offensive coordinator and blah blah blah, and how, oh, now that he has Sammy Watkins, he has a receiver he can trust, so he's gonna open up the playbook and blah blah blah. But when you watched what happened last night, it was the same playbook they've been running for the past 3 seasons. It's the same playbook they've been running for the past 3 seasons. So like, again, at the end of the day, this guy's not gonna change, man. And I even said in another video that not only should Greg Roman lose his job, John Harbaugh needs to get up out of here too, bro. Absolutely, you gotta, like, this whole coaching staff just has to get completely overhauled. But, you know, when I say that, or when people who are Ravens fans say that, you know, we're made to look like we're being mean and harsh and all that, it's like, no, you can clearly see this is a coaching staff that is very complacent. Even though they pretend that they want to win and they want to make it to the Super Bowl, they don't desperately want to do it to the point where they're willing to change. And they are more than willing to let all the responsibility fall on Lamar's shoulder, fall on his shoulders, while at the same time not providing him with the necessary weapons and the necessary protection to get him to the next level. In general, that game as a whole was just really disgusting to watch, man. And we needed to start the season off on a good note, man. To look like that in week 1, and now we have to go play Kansas City in week 2. I still think a 13-4 season is still possible, but again, if we lose to Kansas City and we're 0-2, there's no reason that this coaching staff should still have their jobs at this point, man. If EDC, you know, and this is another reason why I made that video way back saying I don't think we should say in EDC we trust. That's silly. You got to give people time to prove themselves. And at the end of the day, EDC hasn't proven himself at this point. There's been rumors that him and John Harbaugh don't even really get along that well anyway. Why are you not looking for an excuse to get rid of these guys? They clearly have shown that they have no interest in adapting. They have no interest in changing. They have no interest in really, going above and beyond for their franchise quarterback to really help the whole offense reach its peak potential. They're fine as is. There's no reason these guys should keep their job. And if Eric DeCosta doesn't have the balls to fire them, there's no reason Eric DeCosta should keep his job. Flat out. If I was Steve Bisciotti, the owner of the Ravens, not only is the coaching staff on the hot seat, Eric DeCosta is in the hot seat. I'm absolutely gonna look at him too and say, hey, this guy, people need to seriously consider getting rid of this guy. How can you be trusted to run this team when you're not prioritizing the best player on this team? When you see what they did throughout the offseason, not prioritizing getting the absolute best players for the offensive line, not prioritizing getting elite receivers, overpaying players on the defensive side of the ball who are just not worth that money anymore. At the end, this is not a general manager or coaching staff that deserves to still have their jobs at this point. It was just really hard to watch, man. And even with all the mistakes that were made, the crazy thing is there was still actually a decent shot. And we dropped the ball, no pun intended, because there really was a moment where Mark Andrews had dropped what would have been a first down, a key first down. A first down that probably wouldn't have led to a fumble after, like the incomplete did. And that's not a good look for Mark Andrews at all. You just got paid $50 million. You're now getting paid like $14 million a year. You need to really step up to another level. And this is another reason why. This is exactly why I also say I don't care about the preseason. You see so many people hype up and say, oh man, the Ravens, they're undefeated in the preseasons and blah blah blah. It's like, dog, who cares? Who cares that you've won 20 straight games that don't matter? When it's time to play a game that actually mattered, this team on so many levels just completely folded. And it's really despicable to sit here as a fan and witness that. Because that's absolutely a game we should have won. Because I absolutely do not believe that the Raiders defense is that legit. I just think the offensive line was that mediocre. This is, it's a shame, man. It's really a shame. I'm trying to stay positive, but it was just that was just really disgusting to witness, man. Hollywood had a pretty solid game. He had 7 catches for I think 69 yards, but they should have went to Hollywood more. They definitely should have went to Hollywood more, because he was showing that he's ready. He's ready to. I've already said on record, I think he's gonna have a breakout season. They should have went to him more. He was showing that him and Sammy Watkins was the only consistent receivers we had this game. The only consistent people Lamar had to throw to this game. And then Tyson Williams was the only consistent runner we had this game, besides Lamar. And yet these guys, but yet Tyson Williams got taken out of the game for essentially the rest of the game. And Marquise Brown didn't get more targets. And it's just really sad to witness, man. Because this was a very winnable game. I had fully expected us to to go into Las Vegas and just completely demolish them. And I just felt a little disappointed that everything that many of us said we didn't want to see going into the next season, we just witnessed it all over again. And nobody's gonna be held accountable except for Lamar, when there's several issues with this team that isn't even Lamar's fault. But yeah, I didn't get much into all the details of all the things that happened. There was some positives from yesterday. Like I said, Hollywood played well, Sammy played well. Adafe Owe got a sack, and Justin Houston got a sack. But there was some positives, but overall, there was an abundance of red flags yesterday, and that's again, because of the way they played, the fact that we only had lost by 6 points in overtime. With all due respect to the Raiders, I just think that shows that the Raiders themselves didn't have that great of a game either. Even though on paper it might look like they did, they didn't really have that great of a game. Because if we played that same way against the Chiefs, dude, at that point, if we go into the Chiefs game playing like that, we're gonna lose by 30. But again, let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. What was your thoughts on the game, and what do you think is gonna happen next week against the Chiefs? I still think we have a chance to win that game, but if we do, I think it's gonna be by the skin of our teeth, because with the way things are looking in week 1, it's absolutely looking like if they don't take it seriously, you could easily get blown out. But let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below, and make sure you guys like and subscribe.